meeting for the Spalding County Board of Commissioners. It's a public hearing, and so I would like to read this disclaimer. At this time, I will recognize those citizens who have signed up to address the board. Once your name is called, come to the podium, state your name and your address for the record, and make your comments. All speakers are who are recognized will be allotted 3 minutes to speak. No speaker will be permitted to speak more than 3 minutes or more than once, unless the board votes to suspend the rules. We look forward to your comments and in no way mean to diminish anyone's right to speak freely or to advise us about any issue relevant to this hearing today. We thank you for letting us know how you feel about the matter, and that we will let you know that it will be under consideration. So at this time, do you have the list, Ricky? The first person on the list is Ms. Patricia McKee.
It won't take me long to speak. I'd like to know why.
Ms. McKee, could you speak into the mic for me and give us your name and address?
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry.
My name is Miss Patricia McKee. I live at 106 Tangler Trail here in Griffin, Georgia.
Thank you, ma'am.
Zip code 30223. And what I'd like to know is really, all I've got is an assessment of what my taxes are gonna be for our home and townhouse. I want to know when the bills officially will be out. All I got was the assessment, nothing else.
I think what they told us, we closed it out October the 1st. October 2nd, Sylvia's gonna mail them to the state to be approved. It had to go to the state to be approved. It's supposed to be mailed out October the 15th.
Okay. And what is the final date for payment then?
I think it's December the 15th. Don't hold me to that, but I think it's December. You're gonna get them, and you'll have to December the 15th to pay them without penalty, I believe. Don't hold me to that now.
I'm one of those homeowners that when a bill comes in, I like to pay it. And I do not want to be late for anything. That's why I was upset about this, because everybody else I spoke to in different counties have gotten their bills, getting back in the mail. So it kind of upset me, because here we are, a good county, I'm proud of Spalding County, but we have not moved forward to try to stay up with these other counties, to bring our money in, to help y'all and to help our county. So I was wondering what was going on in that part.
We got behind last year because of all the appeals and stuff. They wasn't due last year till February. A lot of it's got to do with the way it's done it. And the appeals have to go before board. Then Marcia, the state throwed this on her to do all these appeals where it used to be done at the assessor's office. And that's one reason we got behind last year. And it's just throwed us back. And we look to get it because that's the reason we're having to borrow money to operate from now to January the 1st.
Ms. McKee, if you would give Chad, our interim county manager, your name and address, he will get a specific answer. I know Commissioner Miller says don't hold him to that, and it's probably accurate, but Chad will make a call back to you and let you know exactly. Yes, ma'am, if you'll just come up to the podium and give him your information. Next, we have Ms. Annette Mouche, okay. Give us your address, ma'am.
My name is Annette Mouche, and I live at 109 Runnymede Road, Griffin, 30224. I have two questions. One is, do the comments and questions asked during these forums have any influence on your final decisions? Or has the decision already been made?
Interim county manager. You didn't hear the question. Ms. Mouche, this hearing is to receive public comment. I can only speak from my vantage point, because I'm also a taxpayer. that, I don't think that anything's ever sealed in cement. And of course, we welcome any comments. I'm not quite sure if your concern is with the increase in the property taxes or the amount that your property has been valued at. But at any rate, the need for us to increase property taxes is kind of a twofold situation. We need to be able to meet the needs of keeping people here, to keep the roads paved, keep the water running, et cetera. And we also need to make sure that, that we can still try to get industry. And that's the other half of it, that we don't have a lot of industry here. So that balance is not good, because the industry usually pays about 6 or 7%, 7 times what a homeowner pays in terms of taxes. So since we have a very lean amount of industry here, it's really offset. But the budget that we put together, we went through everything that we could possibly think of in trying to cut expenses and things in every department. And that was a number that we came up with, and we still were short.
What percentage did you cut? Did you have an overall percentage that you cut in your budget, or from each department, or in order to justify raising our taxes 1%? We are already, every tax that we pay is already being raised. So when you add all of those taxes together, it becomes monumental, and especially for people who are on fixed income. The issue that you're talking about as far as industry, there may be other reasons why industry has not come to this community. And it's hard for those of us left to pay those taxes that are continually being, and you're not the only ones. That's my concern. My other question was, why exactly, and will we see a final outcome or final delineated budget that we will be able to see where these tax cuts are from and why we're having to raise these? Will we see any definitive paperwork on that?
Do we have, as our budget stands, excuse me, do we have something that shows where we were last year and where we are this year? Because I know that the initial amount that everybody had to cut was, what, 15%?
We have cut between 5 and 10% out of the operating budget every year for the last 5 or 6 years. The things that we can't cut, that we have no control over, are our insurance costs, both healthcare and property and liability insurance. Those have gone up and have kind of eaten up a lot of the cuts that we have made. The budget to actual for the general fund and the fire fund are included in the comprehensive annual financial report, which is the year-end report. It shows the beginning budget that we appropriated, and then it shows the ending amended budget, and it shows the actual expenditures. And I believe there are about 7 or 8 years of those reports on our website.
What's the website? Griffin.
www.spaldingcounty.com.
Yes, ma'am. And it's under, I believe on the home page, the last year, which would be fiscal 2012, is comprehensive annual financial report. And then I believe on the side, it's CAFR that you can go to, and you can see the previous years.
With all due respect, many times that I have been to these meetings, most of it has just been informational, and questions and concerns that we have had, it has seemed to me have been somewhat dismissed. So I hope that you will take into account that there are some people who really are having a hard time paying these taxes as they rise and rise and rise on everything. And I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Michelle. Next, I'll ask, is this, I can't read the first name, it's Ingram, Mr. Ingram?
Ingram.
Mr. Ingram.
I'm B.J. Ingram, or Joe Ingram, 258 Camptown Road, Griffin, Georgia.
Yes, sir.
And I was wondering how is the budget passed before you know how much taxes that you're gonna collect? That's one question. the next one is why we're borrowing money to operate on until the end of the year or till we can collect taxes. And the third one is the county in debt, and if so, how much, and if so, why? And I'll sit down. and listen.
What was the first question?
First question was, how is the budget passed before you know how much taxes you're gonna collect? Or you just shoot in the dark, and then we decide to raise taxes? In this case, we're raising the mill this year.
Do you want to address that?
Our year is July 1 through June 30. So in order to operate, and I believe it is by our ordinance, we have to have a budget for the new year passed by July 1. Our tax digest is not compiled until this time of year. So we, and we don't know what the outcome of the digest is going to be, whether it's going to go up or whether it's going to decline. And in the last couple of years, the digest has declined. So we are mandated by our ordinance to have an operating budget in place by July 1st, which is the beginning of our year. And so that's why we have a budget before we have a tax digest.
So the tax digest is, so that they'll understand what the digest is.
The tax digest is the cumulative value of all the property in Spalding County. It's the value of your home, the value of Chairman Flowers Taylor's home, my home. Is the cumulative value of all the property of Spalding County. And that's what a tax levy is based on, 40% of the tax digest.
So, in answer to your question, we're not really shooting in the dark, but we can get an estimate of what the tax commission believes where the tax digest is gonna be. And so we set the budget around either where it was last year, we look at the past, and look at potential for the future. And that's basically how we set the budget. The other thing is that the taxes are not received. The one lady came up earlier and was asking when the bills will come out. They won't go out till October 15th. Then we will actually start collecting tax money. There's a period between July and October where there's no funds, because the bulk of the county's money comes in October. So the loan, the temporary funds that we have made a loan for are those monies that we'll pay back once taxes come in. And that allows us to operate for those 3 months.
So it's not planned for ahead of time then?
We would
So
like
you
to,
don't plan ahead of time? See, in my household, if I want to buy something, first off, I got to go through my budget and find out if I have the money to go buy it. And then if I go and put it on credit, then I go through the budget and I find out if I got money to pay it back. So sound like you folks are shooting in the dark. That's pretty much what I got to say. Thank you very much.
okay, well, thank you, Mr. Ingram. Mr. Purefoy.
Bobby Purefoy, 917 South McDonough Road. Used to be Route 6, 196, Old Thomaston Road when I was growing up. And I think most of the folks here at 11 o'clock and 6 o'clock realize that this is an exercise in futility, that their taxes are going to go up. But I do have a question, a couple, and another comment. How much property taxes or back taxes are owed to Spalding County?
Are you asking us that?
Yes, ma'am, or whomever possibly can
Well,
answer
we
the
would have to get
question.
that information from the tax commissioner.
you don't have any idea how much money is owed Spalding County in back property taxes.
No, do you?
I'm not a commissioner, and I'm not the one that's raising the property taxes, ma'am.
Well, that's taxed directly to the tax commissioner, who is a constitutional officer, just like we are, and we don't control her office. So
Shouldn't
we can
that-
request that information from her if you would like to know.
That would be a great
Okay.
idea, that would be requested from her, and it should be public information that the public or other property owners it should be something that y'all should know. And whatever efforts are being made to collect those back taxes. I think last year it was in the millions of dollars. And that really, if there were efforts being made to collect those taxes, would have offset a tax increase this year.
Okay. So maybe you can address that with the tax commissioner.
I don't think that's my responsibility to
It's-
address that. I
Go
think
ahead.
that's y'all's responsibility as a power to raise the property taxes, to have that information from her, or at least consult her and try to find out that information, so that the public out here would know how much is actually owed Spalding County in back property taxes. Seems like a common sense question to me.
Commissioner Ray?
During the budget cycle, it was identified by, I can't remember the exact number, but I think it's about $2.6 million that is owed to Spalding County through bankruptcies, through foreclosures, and through taxes that have not been paid. But when you look at foreclosures and bankruptcies and go in there as well, because the people who own those properties, the banks and things of that nature, have not paid those properties. Then you have the 2,900 plus, or the 2,900 tax appeals that have not been satisfied since 2009 that are being heard. That is one of the reasons that we're in the crunch we're in.
Okay, good, thank you. And you know, it's great, I know this is a public hearing, and I know it's 6 o'clock, and this just was another one, the 3-minute rule that y'all are adhering to me, and to a lot of other folks out here, is a shame and a disgrace. Because to me, this time has been purchased, this is the most precious time that folks out here have to engage their elected officials. And to me, and a lot of other folks, it is embarrassing that y'all stand mute when you've got people out here who are the ones who have voted y'all in or not voted for you, but they expect to engage their elected officials when they stand up here. But y'all choose to stand mute. And that, to me, is a shame to the process. And I'm sure to a lot of other folks. That's all I got to say. Thank you. Now, this, ma'am?
The only thing I was going to generalize is saying, is I understand what you're saying about the 3-minute rule, but as elected officials, you know, we're out and available to be reached. You can call us anytime, any questions or anything like that. I mean, we're out there. And yes, this is a very important time for you to come speak, but you can call us anytime.
A lot of folks, ma'am, do call, but they get no response when they do call. I know a lady that stood up here a couple of meetings ago, and she asked some questions, pertinent questions, and y'all stood mute. And she was concerned, she was compassionate, she had legitimate questions, and no response. And that is a disgrace, honestly, to folks that are paying the taxes, to the folks who are voting in this community, and they expect to engage their elected officials. Thank you.
Mr. Gary Cubic,
Cubic.
I'm Gary Cubic, I live at 403 South Walker's Mill Road, Brittany.
go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that my wife and I, we're against any more increase. You know, I know there's people, I hear other people, they say theirs went down a little bit, well, mine keeps going up and up. We bought our home in '04. Our property tax has gone up $1,000, and I guess they're still going up. So right now, I'm paying, you know, I went and refinanced a home, trying to get my house payment down. Our work situation changed. And so now I'm paying $1,000 more than I did 9 years ago. And I'm paying $300 a month for taxes. And now all the kids are gone, we're thinking about downsizing. Try to sell the home, I'm thinking, well, who wants to buy a home that's paying this, has to pay this kind of taxes? So my question is just, when's it gonna stop? You know, you know, the other point is I don't like the way these evaluations are done because people a couple blocks down, they might have had a foreclosed home, so all their properties went down in value. And this is during the downtime. When everybody's home values are going down, mine's going up, you know, so I don't know what went on there. All I know is I sure don't want to see any more taxes go up.
Ms. Debbie Frost. Ms. Frost.
Debbie Frost, and I live at 724 Teeman Road.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I want to apologize to you guys because I let you down. I'm a citizen of Spalding County, and I should have made it my business to have been here at these meetings to at least let you know what I think. And I'm telling you right now, I don't like what I'm seeing. You are giving away money and property of Spalding County. It doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the people. And I think you've forgotten that. You come to these meetings, the last meeting I was at, there weren't but maybe 5 people here. And I can see how it's real easy. You just all go about and do your business, and you're forgetting about who put you into office. You need to listen to the people. You guys are spending money and borrowing money right and left. I sat at the last meeting. You borrowed money from the bank. 2 minutes later, you were giving most of that money you borrowed from the bank, you were giving away to a United Way charity fund. That's not your business. That's the people's money that you're dickering with. And yet, you guys are turning around and you want to jack up taxes again? You need to think about who you're working for. Think about us. We're tired of this. Listen to the people. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
United Way Fund, that's actually funds that were donated by the employees, so it's through their tax rolls.
That was their money that they were supposed to be taking a pay deduction, and instead of putting that money back into the people's fund, they gave it away to a charity, and that is wrong. That's what I call reckless spending. And you gave several cars away, and you could have made money from that as well.
Thank you for sharing that. Do y'all have anything? I heard people, everybody talking about the county raising the taxes, and there is a proposed tax increase. But, you know, I want to just know how many of you folks have been to the school board meeting? The school board meeting, their taxes are 43.5% of what it is that you pay in your taxes. Most of you guys probably don't have kids in school. but you're still paying, just like I don't have kids in school. Because you live in the county and not in the city, 36%, 36.4% of your taxes goes to Spalding County. Almost, what percent of our taxes of our budget is sheriff's department? 60, almost 60% of our taxes?
About a third.
About a third. So 34% of the entire county budget goes to law enforcement. So I understand, and I want, for people to understand, I pay taxes too. And I'm not about trying to take my own money to give it away any more than you want to give yours away. But the same people who don't want us to take care of the business of the county, it's okay when it's good, but it's not okay when you have a lean time. We didn't make the lean time. It happened. My property value went down too. But the answer is.
Yeah, yours went down.
Just hold down, hold. My property value went down. But the point that I'm making to you is, I live in a neighborhood where all of the properties are not good. So, I don't control the tax commissioner's office. We don't control the tax assessor's office. Those are individuals that a lot of you people voted for. A lot of the residents voted for. I voted for them as well. If you're not happy with that, it is not our ultimate responsibility to oversee them. We can ask for questions, we can ask for guidance, but you're absolutely right. You have an opportunity to come to every meeting that we have and to verbalize your opinion. And we had at least 15 meetings while we were working on the budget. And I apologize if there was not enough information for those of you who wanted to be here. It's really very important, because you would have seen what we had to go through to try to figure out to get where we were from point A to point B. But with all that even being said, I'm very grateful that you came, because more people need to come and to be involved in what's going on. We don't have the answers. I don't look at this as I'm throwing away the taxpayers' money, because I'm as frugal with theirs as I am with mine. But, 3 people have to make a decision. It would be good if 5 people could make a decision, but it's not always like that. And it's a lot easier to be sitting in a place where all the details aren't known. Are we trying to be transparent? We are. But unless we hear from you and the things that you would like to see on the website or have access to, then we don't know specifically what it is that you want to see. So I appreciate you sharing that, Ms. Mache, because that gives us something to work with in terms of being able to help people see the budget. It's not a good thing, but it's where we are. So, and I think it's very important to have this public conversation. I'm sorry that we can't answer every question, but it lets us know more of what your true concerns are. So, if there are no other comments by any other board members, I'll entertain a motion to.
I wanted to see if I could ask one more question since I signed up, and I've now gotten more information.
I have to, what's the board's will of the board?
I'll leave her.
Hmm?
I'll leave her, so she can talk.
Yeah.
Okay, Ms. Michelle.
Just
Come back
one-
up to the podium, please, dear.
In your conversation, and I understand where you're coming from, with the term lean times, and I doubt if there's not anybody here who is not experiencing those same lean times. Some people have lost jobs and so forth. I wish we could do like this board and find somewhere to come up with another, whatever is missing from our own budgets. So I wish we could do like you are able to do and raise our taxes to make up for what you're not receiving. And it just sounded to me like, since we are a depressed area, and maybe I'm not forming my language.
That's correct.
Since we are a depressed area and we are losing business, then the other businesses have to make up for what we're losing. And they're already stressed. And sometimes it appears to me that when you have access to money and with the ability to come up with more funds, that's something you have that we don't have. So when you raise our taxes, we again are experiencing a difficulty that is piled on top of the difficulties as concerning the insurance. My insurance has gone up tremendously. So I know it's gone up for your clientele and your group here. So, but it's doing the same thing to us. So I hope that you consider those kinds of things in your decisions. And I appreciate you letting me come back.
Thank you, Ms. Miche. I made a statement that I felt like was not completely correct. This was not our only option, the tax increase. We could have cut services. And I think it was a general consensus of the board that we wanted to keep services at the level that they are. I mean, is this set in cement? I don't think anything ever is, but the only other option we would have would be to cut services that would provide.
What services would we possibly, I would, I think there's some services that I can do without, but there are some services that I would not want to, which would be the police and fire department. But there might be some other services. But we have lived through some wonderful times in this country. And maybe we can't live that way anymore. Maybe we can't provide the best streets and the best buildings and the best anymore. We may have to wait a while till we're all back on our feet.
I don't have a problem with that at all.
And I got potholes on my street, but I'll go fill them up if I have to. So anyway, thank you for letting me come back up here.
Thank you for sharing. This time, I'll entertain a motion to.
Madam Chair, move to adjourn the public hearing for the budget process.
Have a motion by Commissioner Ray and a second by Commissioner Johnson to adjourn this public hearing. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, show of hands. 4-0. Meeting's adjourned.